Cosmo Police Galivan is a game I've been waiting a long time to talk about. You see, it's one of the games that directly led to me doing this project. Sure, I had been kicking around the idea of doing something like this for years because of all of the games that I could not find information on, but I had been really looking forward to playing Galivan, and when I got my cart, I got stuck almost immediately. There was some nuance of the interface that I was missing. I wasn't able to find a lot of help online, and so I thought I really needed to get started on that big project. And here I am, almost a full year after that, finally able to get into Cosmo Police Galivan. Also, after a pretty rough previous month of Famicom games, this is starting a run of about 3 weeks where I like most of the games I'm going to be playing, and a few of them are even some of my favorites on the system. Cosmo Police Galivan was originally an arcade shoot-'em-up. It wasn't a particularly successful game, and when the Famicom port came along, Nihon Busan took the path that a lot of people were doing with their arcade ports, and reworked it entirely for the home. The Famicom Cosmo Police Galivan is a Metroid clone. It doesn't have the fully explorable map, instead it's cordoned off into 6 large areas, but it's still impossible to not see the Metroid influences here. You'll go through the long horizontal corridors that are linked up by vertical shafts, collect power-ups in certain areas that are required to open doors to the next section. You can even shoot overhead if you want to. And tell me these elevators aren't Metroid-inspired. The story of the game is very simple. There's an evil organization called Mado that the Cosmo Police have been fighting, and at the start of the game, all of the Cosmo Police except you have been captured. So you go in as the last member of the Cosmo Police. Each segment of the game follows the same structure. You explore the maze, find the weapons or items that you need to unlock the path, upgrade some equipment so that you can damage the boss, and then beat the gatekeeper to go on to the next section. Both you and your weapons can level up in Cosmo Police Galivan. When you level up, your maximum hit points and Cosmo points increase, though they don't refill. When your weapon levels up, then its damage increases. You start the game wearing your uniform and swinging a lightsaber, and that's all of your equipment. When you kill an enemy with your beam sword, it might drop one of these capsules. There's 3 different types of capsules. One that gives you health, one that gives you Cosmo, and this P that increases your GP. I'm not sure what the G stands for there, so we'll call it Galivan points. You have to hit these capsules with your sword to collect them. Just running over them won't do it. And if you can max out that GP bar, then you transform into your Cosmo Police armor. While the armor's on, you take less damage, and every time you're hit, the GP decreases by 1. If you're not wearing your armor, it's a good idea to find some easy enemies to defeat and build that bar up to the maximum. As you explore, you'll find captured Cosmo policemen. Interacting with them is a little bit odd. You have to crouch down a short distance away from them. The position is kind of finicky too. Some of these policemen have hints, but others might have items or special weapons. You hit select to switch between what you're using. That rotates between sword, weapon, and item. You can choose exactly what is equipped in each slot by pressing start to bring up this menu. It's also where you can see your sword's level. The weapons and items show you how many Cosmo points it costs to use them. This beam that you get from one of the very first Cosmo policemen can also open some doors. You have to shoot them 3 times to get them to open. Later on, you'll find these portal rooms. You have to stand in front of them and press A and B on the controller, and that will teleport you to an alternate universe, which is just a gloopier area set aside from the main area. To get through the first area of the game, you have to start out by going to get the beam weapon. Once you have that, you can open the doors to get to the far side of the zone. At the opposite end is the first boss, this computer that will sit there and just shoot at you every once in a while. It's not too hard to beat it down with your sword. Defeating the computer opens up some more doors, and you go through this section with some tougher enemies. The worms in particular are nasty because they take a lot of hits to destroy, and they aim their fireball shots at you. So the best way to deal with them is to get in a couple hits, back off to dodge the fireball, and then repeat. Make it through that section and you'll get a crystal that will open up another path, and that blows open this elevator shaft that gets you down to the portal room. In the alternate dimension, you meet this fairy who will offer to sell you something for 50 Cosmo points. She's lying though and will just steal your money. What you really need to do is turn her down, and then she's another boss. Not too difficult to defeat when you remember that you can attack straight up. She gives you the sword that can hurt the final boss of the area. You'll have to go through this mid-boss to get to him, and then you encounter this bouncing demon. You have to hit him in his head, and the jump and attack is not very precise. Still, his attack pattern isn't too difficult to dodge. And once he is defeated, you go further into the complex. I enjoyed Cosmo Police Galivan quite a bit, but it's not a perfect game. You're going to want to grind a few levels, for example. In particular, you're not going to want to fight that first area boss unless you level up your sword a bit. And there will be times where you're just going to have to stop and gather some of those GPs. The grind for your own levels didn't seem as bad, but that might have been because I had to grind for sword power anyways. All that grinding slows the game down when it's really unnecessary. There is a sequel to Cosmo Police Galivan. Cosmo Police Galivan 2 is on the Super Famicom, though that's more of a standard beat-em-up. In Japan, Cosmo Police Galivan isn't well known, but it is regarded as a hidden gem by some people. And I think that hits my opinion. It's got its flaws, but it's a neat game if you can work your way past them. This is one I really wish I could dedicate more time to, and I'll probably return to it in the future.